The headline reads, Transgender man gives birth to non-binary partner's baby with female sperm donor. Well, that seems like a normal family to me. How's it going, Truth? This is Ben here, and I just became aware of this article today, and let me go ahead and apologize for the acoustics, the sound, the mess in the background. I just moved, so I'm cleaning this apartment, so I apologize for the messy situation and the bad sound. So if you haven't seen this article from mirror.co.uk, they are reporting on a transgender man who gave birth to their non-binary partner's baby with a female sperm donor. Now the problem, obviously up front in the title itself, is that just saying that you're transgender doesn't mean that you actually transitioned, because it's impossible. You're either born XX or XY. You're a male or a female. There's a very small percent of people, less than 1%, who are born intersex or a hermaphrodite, you could say. That's what they're called, and they have sometimes both sexual organs. But even when they have both sexual organs, either both of them or only one of them work. So just because they have them doesn't mean that they have the ability to both give birth and to impregnate themselves. That has never happened, and I'm fairly certain it never will happen. But I digress. This person is calling themselves a transgender man when they are a female. So let me read you the beginning of the article, and then we'll go through it, and I'll kind of detail my thoughts on what's going on, and let's move through it. It starts off, proud dad Reuben Sharp today tells us how he gave birth to the miracle baby in Britain's most modern family. The 39-year-old transitioned to a man 12 years ago, but he still had maternal instincts, and 6 years ago stopped taking testosterone in the hope of one day having a child. So automatically we see this 39-year-old transition 12 years ago, started taking testosterone because she is a woman and her body does not produce testosterone enough in its natural state to have the outward appearance of being a male, because she is a female. So she had to take testosterone foreign to her body, inject it in her body, just to have some of the outward appearances of a male, a deeper voice, facial hair, things like that. But she is still very much a female, because 6 years ago she stopped taking the testosterone because she, who the article calls a he, still had maternal instincts, which is just very bizarre to hear. If I told you, hi, I'm Ben, I am a male, I'm a father, I have maternal instincts, that would be odd because I'm not a female. I can't give birth. I don't have the biological equipment to have a baby. So I don't have maternal instincts. I have paternal instincts. I have fatherly instincts, but I don't have motherly instincts. So it's so weird when you read things like this and hear things like this where they are throwing around things and terms and, nouns and adjectives that are specific to one gender, but they just go back and forth. Continuing on, Jay is non-binary, so does not identify as male or female. Now, Jay is Reuben's partner in life. Now, Jay was born as a woman, but Jay, and it tells later on in the article, had breast removal surgery. So Jay, who was born a woman, is now in a relationship with a woman who is pretending to be a man who just gave birth to a child. And the sperm donor was a trans woman, and even the doctor was transgender. So a trans woman, a person pretending to be a woman, or who thinks, at least psychologically, that they are a woman, gave sperm, which is impossible for a woman to give, to a man who is actually a female, who has a partner, born a woman, but now identifies as non-binary and had their breasts removed. And this is UK's most modern family. And it's just very bizarre to see. I'll throw some pictures up here. Here's a picture of Reuben. It says Reuben has a checkup during late stage of his pregnancy. Now, his pregnancy, it's a woman. Now, I know that Reuben has facial hair and looks more masculine, and that's from the 6 or so years of taking testosterone that genetically modifies your body. But as soon as she stopped taking testosterone, her body reverted back to being female, because that's what it is. And eventually the body's natural processes kicked back in and started producing estrogen. The ability to give birth, obviously to get pregnant, was turned back on. And so we see that even if you say that you're a male, if you don't take a outside drug or an outside chemical substance, then your body reverts back to its natural state, which is a female. So just because you claim to be transgender, and just because you are taking foreign substances to your body to make your appearance on the outside be more transgender, every cell in your body, Ruben, still is female, regardless of what you put into your body. Now, further on, we have a picture of the whole family. We have Jay on the left wearing the orange or the mustard colored jacket. You have Ruben in the center, obviously with a lot of facial hair from the testosterone that she took. And then you have the little baby on the right. Now, what this is this is two women who are in a lesbian relationship who had to get a sperm donor from a person claimed to be a woman, but who's really a man, in order to have a child. Now, sometimes when we look at this, especially in the Christian community, and we see things like this, we have a tendency to, unfortunately, be angry or to be dismissive or to say something that may be inappropriate or hateful. But I think the response to something like this is that these people, especially this young child, is going to have a very confusing and sinful road that they're going to have to work through later on in life, because this child is going to grow up and it is going to wonder who its father is, because there is no father in this picture. The father is a sperm donor, but the sperm donor is pretending to be a woman. So this child is going to grow up with two lesbian gay women pretending to be the mother and the father in this relationship. And they haven't gotten married yet. They say that's coming in a year. So from a Christian perspective, when we look at this, obviously there's a lot of confusion, a lot of sin, a lot of unbalanced thinking and lifestyle living, but we shouldn't respond to things like this with hate. Something like this should be looked at with pity and prayer. These people need our prayer. They don't need our hate. Now, I know there's times to stand up and to, be more defiant when it comes to maybe like, LGBT activists or lobbyists or people in the government, Mr. Peter B., who I can never say his last name, Buttigieg? I can never say his name. And there's time to stand up to that. But when we see people like this, who are having a child, who we know that child is going to grow up one day, and that child is going to have questions that may never get answered. And what if these people decide to revert back? That is actually more common than people think. Transgender people, in large amount, have a tendency to detransition. So what is going to happen if these people detransition or stop, acting like they are living the lifestyle? Well, they're both women. Well, then what if they both decide that they want the child? Well, what if one of them gets married? Well, that's going to cause a lot of problems for this child and for these people. So people like this need our prayer. This is obviously a very unbiblical lifestyle. And the fact that mirror.co.uk is promoting them as the modern family shows just how twisted the culture is. Now, I know this is out of the UK, but this could just as easily happen in the US, and I'm sure it is happening in the US. Obviously, with the rise and the promotion of people like Caitlyn Jenner, and the transgender lifestyle, and the idea that gender is fluid and that you can just pick whatever you want to be, and there's, 70, 80, 90 different genders that you can pick on Facebook and things like that, and it just keeps adding and adding. Eventually, this is going to come to a head. I saw an article the other day where transgender people, groups, lobbyists, whatever you want to call them, were being hateful and angry towards people that were just gay and lesbian, because they are accusing them of being bigoted and hateful because they prefer to identify or to partner with somebody who claims to be one gender. So the transgendered people and the non-binary groups are attacking lesbian and gay or male-female identifying groups. We truly are living in a maddening time. So when we see people like this, I think obviously there is an initial gut reaction to something like this. I think all of us in the Christian community have. But I don't think hate and I hate to use the word bigotry because it's so flimsily thrown around by people today, and homophobia and just all these ignorant things that people use incorrectly because they don't know how to use definitions correctly. But I think these people actually just need our prayer. So if you see this article, if you see people reposting it and retweeting it, I saw, I think James White was the first person who retweeted this, and that's how I became aware of it. We need to approach these people with love and care. Let's not just bring hate and vitriol and things like that, to this story, to this couple. Let's bring prayer to them. Let's bring understanding. And if we see any other things like this, let's make sure that we're loving in our response. Now, like I said, obviously, when we look at things like, a theologian trying to redefine Romans 1, or 1 Corinthians, or 1 Timothy, or they look at Leviticus 18, like a Matthew Vine's character, and they try to redefine it and say, well, they didn't really know, and Jesus didn't know, they only knew what was going on at the time. Yeah, those kinds of people need to be rebuked, because obviously they're lying and they're in positions of leadership, and they're teaching just false, ignorant lies that we've proven over and over again that don't hold up under scrutiny. And that's why people like Matthew Vines don't get in debates, because they know they'll lose. So yes, a public figure like that needs to be defied, stood up against. But people like this, we just need to give them our prayer, I think. And if you know anybody that is like this in your community or in your friend group and your family, maybe just try to open up with them. Maybe sit down with them, talk with them, ask them why they chose to do what they do. Why did they choose the lifestyle that they chose? Why did they choose to transition? Usually there's a story behind it, and usually that story has a lot of pain, has some kind of, unfortunate, something happened with a family member or a friend, or there was some kind of sexual trauma in the past, and these people, in their young age, being unable to cope with it, decided to do this as a way to work out their inner conflicts. And so we need to be able to sit down and listen to people like that and understand them. So let's take some time when we look at this article and these people to send some prayer their way. Let's pray for them, pray for the child, and let's respond like Christians are supposed to do, in love. All right, guys, I hope you liked my review of this story. It is an interesting one. It's a bit bizarre, I think, for a Christian to come across. Obviously, it's becoming less bizarre. 50, 60, 70 years ago, this would have been an unheard of story, but in our day and age, this is obviously a very common story. So what did you guys think? Have you guys read this story? If you have read it, what are your thoughts about it? Comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. If you see anything else you want me to comment on, any other stories that are similar to this one, or just anything at all, throw it down in the comments down below. Subscribe to my channel if you would. That will help me out. And I appreciate it, guys. Like this video, and we'll see you next time.